So thank you, Arpit, for the introduction. It's my first participation to the SDN NFV World Congress, so I'm really pleased to be with you today. And it's a great opportunity for me to share a little bit of insight about the AT&T software-defined network journey. So everything is started when you have a change in behavior of a company with some market driver. And our market driver where, in fact, you see an exponential growth in terms of data traffic, because every capabilities that you have on your smartphone, on your iPad is increasing on a daily purpose. You have the virtual reality now coming. We are doing video streaming and also augmentation virtuality. So the data traffic is really booming since several years and will continue to grow in the coming years. So therefore, as AT&T, we were focusing on a new strategy which is mainly based on the virtualization of our network. 75% of the target workload of our network is our target for 2020. And we wanted to be sure that with our domain-to-the-toe program that we were putting in place to support, in fact, this new transformation, we were leveraging the cloud technology that we had in-house with our AT&T infrastructure cloud and also the network virtualization. With the domain-to-the-toe program, we were offering services that will also help us to reduce the operational and also capital and expenditures. And also, the purpose was to achieve a significant level of operational automation at the same time, while the customer experience becomes seamless. So we had to become more agile in the way how we are developing software, and we had to have different transformation, not only at software level. So this transformation, it's not a one-day job. It's a multi-year transformation journey. And it starts with a convergence with our IT transformation and network transformation in order to build what we call it later ECON or AT&T Smart Platform. From a network transformation, what we were thinking, we were moving away from our proprietary application, and we are moving to the software-defined network, as well as investing in our internal cloud infrastructure to be ready to support the 5G generation of network. From an IT transformation, we are moving to digitalization, extreme automation. That's really the key work of this event, by the way, and trying to optimize any application that we are building on this platform. It's not only about software, as I said, it's also a transformation at a company level. Transformation at people level, because they will need to learn new skills, like cloud computing. Is also a transformation because before we were focusing on functional layer in terms of development. Now we need to speak in terms of domain and no more focus on one application in particular. We have also a transformation from a process perspective, because previously, I believe all of you were working in a waterfall model, and now we are all moving to this agile methodology, implementing continuous integration, continuous delivery, and of course, including the DevOps culture. After transforming our people, our process, we had to think also in terms of technology. So no more monolithic code base, but really moving to the microservice development that we will onboard on our framework. We are no more thinking VM-centric, but we are ensuring that our application have this containerization concept approach. And finally, no more simple application. We are focusing on a platform. So this platform was born few years ago, after we released a white paper, end of October 2013, and it was relying on three major pillars: the network function virtualization, the software-defined network, and the ECON platform. The ECON platform stands for enhanced control, orchestration, management, and policy, and is delivering somehow all the product and the services, independent capabilities that we need for design, creation, and life management of our ecosystem, for carrier scale and also real-time workload. So the ECON platform is a key cornerstone because it's also covering two major architecture frameworks. The first architecture framework is the design time environment. This is where we will design and define the platform. And then the second architecture framework is the execution time environment to execute the logic program in the design phase, utilizing the closed-loop control as well as the policy-driven automation. This platform allows us internally to rapidly onboard new services that has been created by ourselves or with the support of our third-party suppliers. So from an end-to-end experience, for customer experience, it gives them some great benefit, which is in fact, they can reconfigure their network, their resource, and the capacity in a near real-time near real-time configuration, sorry. So without going to the details, the platform was originally based on 8 core components, and I believe, Langley, when you will discuss about the architecture of ONAP, these will be mentioned as well. And what they are doing exactly. So first of all, you have the ECON portal. I think I have maybe a pointer for you. No? Yeah. You have the ECON portal, which is really the centralized management point of the platform. It's a user interface, which will give you access to the service design creation framework. The service design creation framework is a visual modeling and design tools. It will allow you to define different assets of your platform. You have, first of all, the resource, which is a virtual point or control point or virtual link. Then you have some services that you can define, like a vFirewall, a vDNF, any V, in fact. Then you have the product, which is a set of different services, including the commercialization, distribution, the ordering, and the billing. And finally, you have the 4 assets, which is in fact the offer, which encapsulate a bundle of different products. So the other component which is also available through the ECON portal is the policy framework. And the policy framework will give you an opportunity to manage and distribute the policy and the rules that will be used by all the ecosystem, by all the ECON components. It is currently based on 2 rules engines. The first one is based on XAML, which is managing stateless transaction. And the second one, the second rule engine, is based on rules, which is managing any stateful transaction as well. The policy is very important because we can therefore distribute all the rules that we are building in the platform that underlay any ONAP component from a management perspective and also from a control perspective. So I'm moving now to the environment execution time with the first component, which is the master service orchestrator. And the main function of the master service orchestrator is to orchestrate, implement any task that we need to perform inside the platform. So it means also we can coordinate, we can instantiate any virtual network function through the master orchestrator. The other component is the data collection, analytics, and event. You can see it as a big data engine where we will gather any KPI, any information coming from all the components. It could be performance KPI, it could be usage, it could be configuration data. And we start to use this information to do our famous closed loop that I was mentioning before. in combination with the policy, we are able to self-heal the platform itself, thanks to the network controller and the application controller, who are updating accordingly the information. So the network controller is mainly based for instantiation the VNF, while the application controller is managing all the life cycle of the VNF, which is you monitor, stop and stop, and you self-healing your VNF as well. So I'm just looking if I didn't forget any component. We have also the active and available inventory, which give you a real view of your physical and your virtual resource. There is a kind of audit which is part of the solution. So when there is a physical change or a virtual change, the active inventory and available inventory will be updated. So at any time you know what are the remaining resources in your ecosystem. So let's move to the next activities. So building our internal platform was not enough, in the sense that we wanted to accelerate our roadmap. We wanted to increase, in fact, the platform evolution and the feature velocity. Therefore, we have this decision to open source what we did in order to benefit from the development community. It's not only the carriers who will benefit from this platform, but also the third-party vendors and the cloud infrastructure. Why? Because they have an opportunity to try and practice their own development, their own VNF, prior, in fact, delivering to any service provider or carriers. The other motivation that AT&T had was in order to reduce the cost of the customization. We were hoping that open sourcing the ECON platform, it will help us to drive somehow the industry in one sense and become the basis, the foundation from any SDN software layer. So it's also a domain where you can practice as well, experiment, because we have a lot of labs available. And it's not only the VNF, but you can also try new technology as part of the lab. But it was not enough. While we were discussing with the Linux Foundation, there was an opportunity to bring another open source called OpenO and to finally call ONAP, which is the open sourcing of the ECON platform and also the OpenO. So I will not go in details in this slide because it was already presented by Arpit. The only things that I want to reinforce, it has been just a booming adventure, rapidly grow. As you said, 55% of the global wireless market is just amazing. So we are currently working on the Amsterdam release. I was thinking that it would be interesting to share this slide with you. And you have the reference. It's an open link. It's an analytic tool that we are using as part of the Linux Foundation to have a taste. Because I was saying it's booming. Is it really? So looking at the graph, yes, of course, you can find the originator, the founder of OpenO, and also also ECON, which is AT&T, with a co-creation with Amdocs, and then also Hague and China Mobile. But after 6 months, people start to understand the platform, people start to see how they can contribute, not only at bugs fixing level, but through different projects. And that's why you start to see other names as part of the major pictures. So ONAP become real, ONAP become important, and we start to see the benefit of the contribution. The other graph mainly is the number of contributions since it has been open to the public community. It's changing every day, so the picture I took last Friday will be probably different and exponentially growing again. So you have the code, which was important because it's one part of the code submission, but I also highlight the fact that it's an active community. It's not like nothing is happening on a day. You have really a lot of information, a lot of questions coming from different members, but also people who are not yet members, but they want to learn about what we are doing in the community. And here, this diagram represents simply the fact that on a daily basis, we are getting more feature requirements that we try to prioritize, that we try to reconsider as part of the architecture activities led by Chris Dongley, and also the use case activity, which is currently driven by Hyla. So now, I get very often the question, you were saying, Catherine, that you have open sourced the ECON platform inside your company, but are you really using it since it has been open source as own app? And the answer is yes. But in order to make it happen, we have developed two major processes. The first process is called the feature development process, and the second one is an ingest process. So let's have a look together about what it is. Let's start with the feature development process. So internally, any AT&T developer or any third-party vendors who are working with us is developing on a frequently basis the code which is related to the ECOM release, but also which is related to the own app release. We ensure before we submit anything to the community that we have a good scanning of the code. By scanning, I mean, is there any security gap we have left? Have we any license concern that we have left? When all the scanning, which is based on automatic tools, are performed, and we feel we are confident with enough level of testing, we are submitting to the on-app community. This is not something we are usually doing on a monthly basis. This is really something we must do on a daily basis to avoid rebase activities later on. So the code that we are submitting from an AT&T perspective is therefore submitted to the own app Gerrit. A maintainer or committer, which is associated to the component that we are developing, will therefore review it. It's not necessarily an AT&T person, it's somebody from the community. As soon as the code is reviewed and accepted by the committer, then we start a second process. We start what we call the ingest process. This process is more internal, and it's about the fact that every 15 minutes, we are cloning from any project where we are also investing internally the code. And we try to be in synchronization as much as we can based on the feature which makes sense internally. So this code, again, when it's come internally, it's scanned to ensure there is no additional security issue we might find. Otherwise, we are raising any concern to the community. We are also performing a set of automated testing to guarantee that the code will not break what we are doing internally. And the code is therefore available for what we had to do inside AT&T. It is composed of some own app artifact. This own app artifact will be the common framework that we have. On the top of it, we are developing our AT&T services, and we added what we call our secret sauce, which is probably some policy and rules which is internal to our company. We merge the two artifacts, the own app artifact and the ACOM specific artifact together, which is a great package that we are delivering to our internal testing, where we'll validate all the new ECOM release. We go through a normal cycle of testing, unit test, automated integration testing, end-to-end testing, product testing, and then we deployed in production. So that's effectively how we try to take everything for the community, selecting what we need for our own purpose, and then contributing back to the community. So that's what I wanted to share with you, the AT&T software-defined network journey. I hope you enjoy it. I'm open for a few questions, if any. Sounds like I've been very clear then today. Any question? Good? No regret? So I give you back. Thank you.